All right.
All right.
We're recording. Great. Welcome to the call tonight, everybody. We really appreciate you guys being here. This is Brian, Oliver, and I started this call. We've done a couple of them, but that really just started last month, where we wanted to create a call that supported the men in the business. And originally we thought, oh, this is just for men, but we realized that this call is really for anybody. So this is for men who want to be in the business and are wondering about it, if this is the real deal, which is the topic of our story tonight. And also for, wives who have men or significant others who are not as supportive as they'd like to be because they don't think it's the real deal. It's really for everybody. And the whole purpose of this is to make sure that, for me, is that we get a lot more men in the business and that men realize that this is the real deal. So that's why we're doing it. Again, we appreciate you guys being here. My name is Craig Kennedy. I am a VF currently with Juice Plus. Brian and I are actually both VFs. We are sideline buddies as well. And the reason we hooked up, we got along when we met in St. Louis, and we both have wives that are pushing to NMD. So it was a really good fit for us. My journey with Juice Plus started about 9 years ago, and I'm in a wheelchair. For those of you guys who don't know me, I broke my back skiing 20 years ago. And about 9 years ago, I was out sit-down water skiing and had a bad crash where I broke my femur. And a few weeks into my recovery, my doctor wanted to put me on a calcium supplement. And I do believe doctors have their purpose, but I did some research. And from everything I read, said don't take a calcium supplement. It's not going to really do much for you. So I had an opportunity to listen to an NMD here in Steamboat speak and was intrigued overall because I was just looking for something to strengthen my leg for bone density. And was kind of blown away with what she said. And she sent some studies and some stories to me. I sent them over to my insurance company, and they've been paying for my garden and vineyard blends, or my garden and orchard blends, for 9 years. I don't think there's anybody else out there whose insurance is paying for their Juice Plus probably, but very proud of that fact. And, fast forward 9 years, I haven't had a serious cold in 7 years. Every once in a while, a sniffle. And overall, the big thing I noticed is I just want to be healthier. I'm a very active person. I hand cycle a ton. I ski 100 days. I get out and exercise or work out every day. And it's important to me to take care of myself. And for a guy who's 44 in a wheelchair to say I'm as happy and healthy as I've ever been, I think goes a long way. So that's enough about me, though. I want to introduce Brian Oliver here. He's going to introduce our guest tonight. And take it away, Brian.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'd say, any of the new people who just joined the call, if you can either mute your cell phone or if you're on the Zoom on your computer, go down to your the left-hand corner and hit mute. That way we're not getting any background noise from others.
And Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Before we get started, I do want to mention, everybody, we got a great call next month, too, on March 9th. We've got Jeff Olson speaking for us. That should be a very, very exciting call. I'm sure most of you on here already know who he is. That'll be 7 o'clock Mountain Time on March the 9th, second Thursday of the month. All right, Brian.
All right, excellent. So I'd like to introduce Woody Comstock. We're honored to have Woody join us tonight. Woody is an NMD. He's been involved with Juice Plus, himself since 2010, but supporting his wife now for 12, almost 14 years on her journey to NMD and 100 Club and beyond. Woody is a graduate of the Syracuse Business School. He's got certificates from Harvard. Was the CEO of a manufacturing company and still sits on the board of Essex Bank and Liberty Mutual. He is a father of 3 and a husband, and just a damn good guy all the way around. And today we're honored to hear him talk a bit about his journey in Juice Plus, why this was important to him, and what has brought him to his success. To get to the income level that he has seen for himself from a man's point of view, as well as maybe a few things that he's learned from his wife along the way. So, Woody, please, we look forward to hearing from you.
Brian, Greg, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Those of you here in New England didn't have a choice. You're snowed in, so we've got kind of a captive audience. But for the rest of us, glad you're here. As Brian mentioned, I live in Essex, Connecticut. Married to Gretchen, now almost 40 years this coming September. Gretchen has been in the business 13 years, is an NMD 200 Club Plus, and is the one that started me on this path. And wherever I've gotten to in this process, I owe it to her. And so, Gretchen, thanks for that. To that point, Gretchen introduced me to Juice Plus 13 years ago. As a guy, maybe it wouldn't surprise somebody on the phone, I was a little reluctant. I thought it was a vitamin. Of course, we know it's not. And I just wasn't ready to jump in. I'm a little embarrassed to tell you that I actually told her at one point before I started, Gretchen, let's not get carried away and buy a lot of this stuff. Little did I know the pantry was already full of all the products, and shortly thereafter I joined on. But the reason that I started taking Juice Plus was I recognized I had less than a perfect diet. I would be embarrassed to tell you what I used to have for lunch. The research behind our product, which is indisputable, and whoever's invited you on the call tonight, talk to them about the research, over 40 peer-reviewed published studies showing the benefit of a diet that includes Juice Plus. So that was a real addition. The company, which is extraordinarily generous, has something called the Children's Health Study, and through that, a person taking Juice Plus may sponsor a child between the ages of 4 and last day of college or even into military service for free product. Gretchen and I have twin daughters. She was taking care of one on the Children's Health Study. How could I not take care of the other? And I was in. And the only other thing I would say about about taking Juice Plus, adding it to my diet, is how pleased I am with it, how good I feel, the energy I have. But interestingly, in 13 years, I've not had a cold. From the business side, it took me a while to get into the business. Gretchen, of course, had started 13 years ago. I joined her full-time 7 years ago, as Brian noted. But I'd owned my own business, manufacturing business here in the United States for some 39 years, initially making pianos and piano parts. And I actually bought that company in 1986 when the U.S. was making about 200,000 pianos a year. Within 4 years, the U.S. was making 15,000 pianos a year. So we lost 85%, 90% of our market. I had started with 12 facilities, 1,500 employees. I ended up with one factory, 40 employees. We reconstructed ourselves, started making screwdrivers of all things, and over the next 14, 15 years became the largest producer of screwdrivers in North America for people like Sears and Stanley and True Value, Menards, for those of you in the middle of the country, and so on. And Gretchen was always on my board. I had a buddy at my side through the good and the bad, but basically we had an extraordinary number of good years. Glad I did that. But I've got to say the last recession, which for us started in 2007, and which I believe still continues, I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a minute, I believe still continues, absolutely took the joy and gain out of being a traditional business owner. And I would come home at night frustrated, being beat up by the guys like Sears, the bankers, the vendors, people not paying, on and on and on, to find Gretchen with a big smile on her face telling me about all the new people, the great people she'd met along the way, people like you on the call tonight. And bottom line, she was having a lot more fun than I was. So at a conference, and we have 2 major conferences a year, we have one coming up latter part of April, do everything you can to be at that conference. But at the wrap-up of a conference 8 years ago now, together we decided to sell the business. We did sell the business, not in the best of times. Once it was sold, I knew I had another career in me. I asked Gretchen if I could join her in the business. She said, sure, send me a resume and get some references, and we'll see if we'll let you in. And she was kind enough, and so 7 years ago, we teamed up. But starting that second career, I had the advantage of trading, when I sold the business, 350 employees for any number of like-minded teammates. What a great trade. I think one of the great things about this business along the way is the extraordinary people that we've met. I never would have known Craig or Brian and so on. And what I think we find is that the people in this business are just a little bit better. Think of little bit more outside the box, the kind of people that we want to hang around with, and that can make a difference in changing the health of this world. So I found myself in a great position. I traded all my bank debt, and for $50, which is the cost of our virtual franchise, which is what our business is, for $50 a year, I now own an international business operating in some 26 countries around the world. I traded riding jets and being away from home. Traded not seeing my kids grow up. I traded not spending as much time as I would have liked to be with Gretchen. I've traded all that, and I've got that back, and now I get to commute my slippers. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, I traded pianos that went away for broccoli that I got to believe is here to stay. So all good trades. But looking at the business, and I want to talk about that just for a minute, I now own my own life. Even though I don't own my own business, I think it owned me. In the Juice Plus business, we own our own life. We decide when we're going to work, how hard we're going to work. I didn't have to, after I sold the business, go to work for, say, some 24-year-old right out of some business school. It's my business. I control it. I make the decisions. I decide when I'm going to get paid. Think of the number of people, perhaps on this call even, who work in the traditional business field, who work harder than you can imagine all year long, extra hours, give up some of the things that I mentioned, and wait for that guy in the corner office to come out of the corner office and say, boy, it was another tough year, but I worked really hard and the budget's done, and I got you a 2% raise. We don't have that. We decide what we're going to get paid. We decide when we're going to move ahead. We don't have to wait for somebody to retire or pass on or leave the company. We decide how we want to move forward in our business, and we have done just that. And additionally, as we move through this business, we have the joy of having probably the best benefit package that I've seen. As Brian mentioned, I have been and continue to be on a number of boards, and I've got to say, in America, I have not seen as generous a benefit plan as we have. And I don't know anybody that doesn't need a benefit plan to take care of them through the ups and downs of life. And I get to share a product that I know everybody needs. When I was in the screwdriver business, there were a finite number of customers. There isn't anybody in the 26 countries that I mentioned whose health, prevention, and life couldn't be improved by adding Juice Plus to their diet. So we have an extraordinary chance to change, as I said a minute ago, change this world. And maybe lastly, from my standpoint, being maybe a little bit older than most of you, I've been looking for ways to give back. And in joining the Juice Plus business, I have found an avenue to do that. That being those people who we can share product with, who take the Juice Plus product. We know we're making a difference in their health, and we know we're making a difference in prevention for them. Those that join us from the business side, in addition, we know that we can change and make a difference in their wealth. And it seems to me that we can help somebody and give somebody avenues for health and wealth, we've made a difference in their life. We've given them choices, and if you got choices, I think life is pretty good. And all this is wrapped, as I say, with an extraordinarily generous company. As you get into it, and we're not going to go into it tonight, but try and get hold of the marketing plan, understand the marketing plan, listen to the marketing plan, and you'll see just how extraordinarily generous our owner, and Jay Martin, who started our company 45 years ago. We're 45 years old. How many companies last a year? We've now lasted 45, and we're set up for another 45, no problem. But interesting enough, only with 5 products. We have a very small catalog, 5 products, very conservative in our product generation. And those 5 products this year across the globe will generate almost $1 billion in sales. Extraordinary company. And it's a company that has no debt, does most everything for us. Our job is to do really nothing more than sharing. I don't believe we sell. I believe we share. We share the benefits of the product. We share the research. We share how we can help people move forward. We share how to build a business. But the company, in turn, for that $50 a year, makes the product, inventories the product, tests the product, researches the product, sends the product out, builds the product, collects on that, it gives us a website, gives us a virtual office, allows us to track our activity, all for that $50. It's extraordinary. What's the risk of $50 to join and have the opportunity that we've got? In addition, I'd say in the business, this is so unique in that the company does not require anything from us. We don't have to buy anything. We don't have goals. We don't have somebody calling Sunday night at the end of the month and saying, gee, Patty Bellis, you didn't do this, or this. We decide what we want to do. We set our own goals, and we go forward accordingly. And to that point, we really find ourselves, if you think about the Juice Plus business, at the convergence of need for more health care, which the world would agree we need, and at the convergence of home-based business. People wanting to stay at home. People wanting to control their own lives. In fact, every 12 seconds, someone in the United States joins or starts a home-based business. And we have a business model that works. We have direct sales. We're obviously in direct sales. The Wall Street Journal did an article, I guess it was 6 months ago, talking about the benefit of direct sales as being the most efficient way of sharing product and information that exists in the world today. Brian mentioned that I went to Harvard Business School. I did. I went for 3 weeks. It didn't quite work out between the two of us, but my takeaway was, and I didn't get it at the time, but the takeaway was from one of the key professors was that successful people in the future would own nothing in their business. They wouldn't have a building, they wouldn't have inventory, they wouldn't have accounts receivable, they wouldn't have employees, and so on. Isn't that really where we find ourselves? No investment, no risk, yet extraordinary opportunity, particularly because those who have come before us, remember we're 45 years old, have given us and developed with the company a tried and proven path, and I can virtually guarantee you that if you follow that path, the success you realize will be whatever it is your goals and dreams might be. So if you wanted to make $500 a month, $500 a week, a day, an hour, it's all possible, then you decide. Something else I like about the business, we all start at the same place. If you can picture a funnel, a right side up funnel, we all start at the tight end of the funnel. We all start the same way. We don't have to be a doctor. We don't have to be a nutritionist, a farmer, a chiropractor, et cetera, because again, what we're doing is sharing, and we're sharing from our hearts. And just an aside on that, when we get out there and get out in the field and we start this sharing process, just remember, if you would, that when we talk to somebody, that what people hear is the passion, they hear our hearts, what's in our eyes, and they really, the first time around, only get about 10% of what we talked about on the product. It's our passion, our beliefs that we share that make all the difference, and then sensing how we feel. So, how did I get to where I was today, or where I am today? The first thing I did actually was I cleaned blenders. Part of our business is doing events, doing activities, bringing people in to talk to them, doing three-way calls, doing Facebook activity. But when we first started out, it was more home-based. I listened to Gretchen over and over again, learned from her, understood from her while I was cleaning the blenders and getting ready. But again, from that, and I said this a minute ago, I recognized that every body could benefit from adding Juice Plus to their diet. So I understood the process, I understood the power of events, and having taken Juice Plus, I had developed a passion for the product. We can't begin to share this product without having a passion for the product. And when I say that, I really mean all the products, from the Juice Plus capsules to the gummies, all the way to the Tower Garden. And we do have a new product coming out that we'll share shortly.
Uh-oh. The snowstorm got Woody.
I think I'm back, right?
Okay, there you go. We lost you there for a second, Woody. The snowstorm had got you.
All right. So I think I was starting to say the next thing I needed to do was develop a why. What would get me up in the morning? And my why initially was financial. I wanted financial help. We had 3 kids converging on college at the same time. Don't know if any of you have had that, but it's a scary situation. And I knew I needed to do something to build that income. And this was an avenue to do that. And just an aside, all 3 went through college, all 3 have graduated, all the college bills are paid. And today, out of this business, we have all the financial security we could hope for. The next thing that I recognized that I needed, and all of us needed, was to be educatable. When I first started, Gretchen and I working together, I thought I had the avenue. I thought we need to do it this way and so on. We don't. The company has it all for us. If we just follow what's there, the path will lead us to the success that we desire. And for those of you who are maybe thinking of joining, husband, wife, partner, whatever, another thing I think to take into consideration, and Gretchen and I got through this quickly, and it was my issue, not hers. I had to figure out where I fit in the process. Gretchen had been in it 7 years already, 6 years in it already, extremely successful. I wanted to do it my way. I thought I had to do this, I had to do that. The reality was, and it took a little bit of coaching, was that my support to her, her support to me, the team was going to be the strength, and the 2 of us doing it together was going to bring enhanced success. Gretchen has an extraordinary number of strengths in this business. I have 1 or 2, and that combination has led us to a much better place. The next thing I learned, and this was tough for me, maybe tough for some of us, I needed to learn to listen better. You know, the gods have given us 2 ears and 1 mouth. There must be a message there. And as we go out and about and we're into our activities, we need to understand and listen to our potential customers' needs. We need to weave our story around their needs and what they're after. Clearly, if we run into somebody in the supermarket and perhaps it's a wife and she says, gosh, my husband's just lost his job, I don't know what we're going to do. Clearly, we're not going to start the conversation Juice Plus about fruits and berries, right? We would go after the business side. So the listening is such an important part of this process. It is a simple business, but not necessarily an easy business. And to that point, this is not a get-rich-quick business, but I can promise you, again, following that path, it decidedly is a get-rich-slow business, but again, will reward you with everything you'd ever want. And to that point, I think this is one of the few jobs, and I even hate the term a job, this is life, this is wonderful, this is an extraordinary place to be, I'm so lucky, but this is a business or an activity that actually pays us what we're worth. What we do, how we apply ourselves, the time we spend, that's how we're going to be rewarded. And like anything, this is not an overnight success. It takes time. It does take effort. I wouldn't mislead you that it's sometimes not difficult. Sometimes we don't run into people that just don't get it, don't want to hear about it. But statistically, if we keep going, statistically in our business, 1 to 2 people out of every 10 that we talk to will be a customer. And out of those, we will have the opportunity to build distributors and build team. And that's where the power of our marketing plan comes from. I can tell you my first couple of calls were disasters. But as I recognized, I actually thanked them. That was target practice for me in terms of, so 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. I didn't get a yes until I think my 4th or 5th call. But I thanked them because I knew they were part of the 10. I knew I was getting closer to getting my first customer, right? So that is certainly a part of the process. And I recognize that this is a team business. We don't do this alone. We don't have to do it alone. It's not set up to be done alone. Memphis, at the home office, has 287 people. Those 287 people are set up and geared to do nothing but help us achieve our success. And in fact, our mission statement, which always drives the company, our mission statement is to build a stable, lasting company to help as many people as possible. That's us, not Wall Street, not somebody else, realize our dreams while inspiring healthy living and now giving around the world. We're extraordinarily lucky. And I guess I would say make sure you know the pay plan. That's important as we go out. You've got to understand that, got to understand how that works, how the contribution to the individual is going to work. And if you'll excuse me, at the end of the day, what so much of this comes down to is that we've got to talk to a shitload of people to move our business forward. I say that in a constructive way. And just a couple more notes. I think we're really almost abusing the time, but I do want to touch on this. This business, the Juice Plus business, and Juice Plus now has been a product that's been available for some 22 years, has been predominantly a female business. For those guys that are on the phone, I want you to understand that that is changing. The last recession really eliminated more men than women from the workforce. So there's a pool of extraordinarily bright, talented guys that are out there that are maybe not employed again, perhaps earning less than they were earning in their last job, or maybe have even given up, that could create a huge pool for us to bring in, to educate, to build team members, to give them an opportunity to build in this business. Now remember, even with all the countries we've talked about, we've only tapped, at least in the United States, about 3% of the people in the United States have even heard of Juice Plus. So the opportunity is extraordinary. Wonderful time for guys to jump in. In fact, our last conference, one of the big two conferences I mentioned at the beginning, our last conference, we had almost 30% more men, guys, than the last conference. This is catching on. The ladies are doing a wonderful job, but ladies move over. Us guys are coming along, and we're going to be a substantive part of this business. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave you with two thoughts. Extraordinary business, strong business, powerful business. We can go to bed at night knowing we've made a difference in this world. We can feel good while we're doing well. It's a great place to be. And let's, as a team, let's make a difference. In this country, we spend twice as much on healthcare as we do on food. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather sit down to a nice meal than sit in the doctor's office. And if you agree with me and feel the power that we can create in this world, see the mission that we're on of changing the lives of children and adults and those people who we can prevent from ever going to a hospital, if you feel any of that, if you feel an inkling, please get with the person that invited you and join our mission, become part of our family, and let's change this world together. So thank you very much.
So Woody, I have two questions, and I'd like to ask this, the second question to all our speakers. But first, especially from a man's perspective, right? It's kind of where's the money, right? Guys want to know, hey, can I make a living off this? I mean, I know on this call there may be guys making 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, 250 grand a year. They want to understand, what can anyone do in this business? And then with an understanding of that, what are the three things that you look at and said, these are the three things that made you successful in this business? And you can't say being married to Gretchen. You can't use that. So outside of that, you may have learned something from Gretchen, but what are the three things that you would pass on to anybody on this call, male or female, that led you to your success in becoming an NMD?
Okay, let's jump into the pay side first, and I don't think Gretchen will mind if I share just a couple of beginning numbers. And again, remember, this is, Brian, at the end of the day, this is all on how you apply yourself. So what I'm going to talk about is, in our case, this wasn't part-time. A lot of people do this part-time, and that's wonderful. But for us, it's a career and a profession. So Gretchen did that day one. She tackled it. She started in June 14 years ago this coming June. In her first 6 months, she made 18 grand. Now remember, this is a home-based business, so that was complemented
18.
by the tax benefits that accrue to us by having the home-based business. In her second year, she made $56,000. In her third year, she was at a run rate, having achieved NMD in 2 years, she was at a run rate of 120. I'll stop there, but I can tell you in the last 13 years, she's probably had 10 months that her paycheck didn't go up. Okay? I own my own company, as I mentioned. What it took me, and I decided what to get paid, what it took me 25 years to make, Gretchen made in 9 years. So, Brian, it's a question of how you apply yourself. Are you willing to go out and conquer your fears? Are you willing to go out and talk to that shitload of people? You can achieve whatever you want. It's up to you. Okay? So the three things that are important, and I skipped one earlier, so I'm glad you asked that question. I think that the first thing is just that, going out and talking to people. It's not going to happen by sitting at home. Let me give you a quick example. I had a roommate from school. I've been talking about him with Gretchen for probably a year and a half. And we were about to take a trip. She said, for goodness sake, just call the guy. So for a year and a half, I'd had that the phone was pretty heavy. I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't call this guy because, I own the business. Now I'm selling fruits and vegetables. I called him up. He said, I'm so glad you made the call. First of all, we reacquainted. We've been doing some stuff together with him now. It's good to have another buddy. You can't have enough buddies. But by the end of the phone call, he ordered reds, greens, purples, the complete, and what was a customer, and thanked me because he'd been looking for something like that. So I think it's Scott's note. I wished I'd started a year ago or whatever it was. Do it now. My first call I made when I was much, much younger, 21, my first sales call, went out and saw a guy who took me under his wing, and he said two things to me that I've kept with me forever. The first was, get it done today. It doesn't get any easier tomorrow. I wished I'd made that call sooner. So talking to people, the next thing, and this is what I skipped, is customer care. We can't do enough for our customers, particularly as it relates to, once we realize that first order and we've got that 4 month supply in their home, we really, really have to be careful not to let the next shipment go out before they're ready for it. So that's communication. Our virtual office tells us 10 days before it goes out. The company teased it up for us. But I've learned, unfortunately, several times when somebody gets that box ahead of time and they still have inventory because maybe they haven't been as good as they should have been about taking it on a regular basis, that is not a plus. So customer care is huge. Talking to people, customer care, and I guess the last thing, which is kind of a part of that, is following it up. If we meet somebody, again, in the grocery store, and we get them all excited, and we send them to a website, our website, or maybe give them a DVD or whatever, and then we don't follow up with them, what do they think? If it's not important to me trying to share the product, how important can it be for them to buy the product? So I would say those three things. Talk to people, customer care, and follow up.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, so Woody, I'd like to thank you for your time tonight.
Not at all.
And I will. This call is being recorded, so feel free to reach out to whoever may have invited you. I'll make it available to everyone if you want to share it with others. And just as an ongoing, it will be the second Thursday of every month. Craig and I will be hosting this call. We'll be bringing a lot of different successful men from across the company to speak. And as Craig had mentioned earlier, next month we have Jeff Olson, who he and his wife are both NMDs. Jeff was a former Olympian, and he'll be approaching it maybe a bit more from an athletic standpoint, right? And that's the idea here, is to give us as many perspectives as possible and find the ones that work for the people you're talking with. So Woody, thank you very much. Craig, anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. Yeah, thank you very much, Woody, and thank you to everybody for being here and supporting this. It's really important to us to make sure that we are all supported in this business. That's what we do. We're a big family here. So thank you for all being here, for all of you for being here.